Hello, welcome back to the Entrepreneur Hour. My name is Miguel Sanchez. I help entrepreneurs and investors profit more through innovation. Today's show, I'm just going to talk about entrepreneur life. The past few weeks, what I've been seeing, and what I've done. Recap. See if anybody has questions on anything they've watched, or if they tried to make an online store like I did this week. Any questions from anybody, but yeah, so I want to start off talking about MetaBronx. It's been a MetaBronx summer. MetaBronx, if you don't know what MetaBronx is, it's a nonprofit I created. I don't even remember anymore. It was a long time ago to basically help entrepreneurs that were looking to create technology ideas. Basically, the reason why I was doing that is because normally if you want to create a technology idea, it costs a lot of money, right? And by a lot of money, I mean like to start out, it can cost you anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000. In most communities, not of color, what ends up happening is friends and family pay for that early phase of the business. But in these communities, we don't really have friends and family that could afford to pay for our ideas. And if they do, they really wouldn't want to risk the money that they've earned on very, very highly possible failure companies, right? Because technology startups, if you come up with an idea, from the day you come up to the idea, that it is the hardest possible to make that sure that idea happens. The further along in that idea that it's becoming like a viable thing, the less risky it is. But the people who invest early are taking the biggest risk. So in communities like not of color, they understand that risk reward and are able to enjoy it more than we are. So I always was trying to figure out, okay, like if there's no friends and family with startups, how do we help people in our communities innovate, right? Like we're like out of the game because we can't even start. So I partnered with my partner Philip Shearer, and we've been working for years on getting startups to raise money, and we've helped startups raise over $5 million. And then we've been sticking with it for a long time. No money, no help from the community or anybody really. And we help more and more companies raise money. And then we got a partnership with Village Capital. And Village Capital is one of the most innovative venture capital firms in the world. So we spoke about venture capital. We spoke about in other videos. You might have to go back and watch other videos. But venture capital is about, this is how companies are funded once they have the idea. So remember I told you in the beginning, you have an idea. Somebody has to give you enough money to make that something a little viable. And then venture capitalists come in and give you like millions of dollars to scale it. So we partner with Village Capital, who is on that side of it. And they give us this cool curriculum that helps startups get to venture capital. So we've been working with companies. We have 6 companies right now going through MetaBronx. And we're working with them to grow them. At the same time, while I was creating MetaBronx, I was trying to figure out how to get young people involved in the technology innovation economy, right? So what that means is I kind of knew this was going to happen. I knew this situation we are in was going to happen. Just, I didn't think it was going to happen when it happened. And by that, what I'm saying is I knew a lot of jobs of the future were going to be taken away. I mean, the current jobs were going to be taken away by technology of the future. So a lot of times innovation shortens the amount of people that are needed to perform that task. So I will always tell friends, look, if you think a robot can do your job, it will do your job. So you need to start for another job, you know? And many people laughed at me and called me like the Debbie Downer. But now if you look, I just read an article yesterday. I gotta find it. They're calling it autonomy Armageddon, right? So what happened is, because all these companies were forced not to have humans be able to work, they had to figure out how to still operate. And what they use? Robots, automation. So it's moving faster and faster. So I knew back when I first started MetaBronx, we have to get young people involved and get them seeing these innovations as early as humanly possible, right? So by doing that, I started to bring in interns, and a lot of times they couldn't really do much at first, so I couldn't pay them, right? Like, how could I pay 10 people that are just learning? But a lot of times their parents would not want the kids to come and work with me, because they're like, if he can't pay you, I'd rather you be here and watch your sister or go work at McDonald's. And I used to always tell them, look, tell your parents though, what you're learning, I'll show you the types of jobs and how much they make. You can make $80,000 a year based on the stuff you're learning here. But they couldn't stay. So me and Philip figured out a way where we could pay them to intern at companies. And then we figured, let them intern at these technology companies we're helping create. So that was the MetaBronx idea overall. So we always saw that we were very lacking in community support, any type of support. So we said, all right, let's treat this like a startup. Let's treat it like a startup. We need an MVP. What is the MVP? The MVP is showing that we can help companies raise money. So we created the first ever venture-backed startup in the Bronx, raised $1 million. First MVP. Then more started coming to us. More started raising money. Then when the kid idea came, where we said, okay, maybe there's a way for us to fund our ecosystem, because a lot of schools want experience for their students. So we tested that out, and we tested out 10 here, 15 there. The schools would pay us to give them internships in these technology companies. So we did that. Then we got to this year. This year coming up was going to be our largest year. We said, all right, let's try to scale this up. Let's this year go up to 100, right? 100 people at one time, 100 interns at one time working for our 6 plus our past startups. So we have about 20 something startups at this point that have gone through our program. So we said, all right, 100 kids, let's get 100 participants to go through. How can we do this? So we said, okay, think like entrepreneurs, tech founders. Who's the personas that we need to target? We knew from past that charter schools were the easiest to sell on innovation, because charter schools are literally built for innovation, right? A charter school is built to test new ideas, and then when those ideas work, they bring them to the DOE. So we started there. We partner with CompSci High, Computer Science High in the Bronx, and John Campos. Shout out that guy. If it wasn't for John Campos, this summer probably wouldn't have happened. So we reached out to John Campos, and we said, look, we want to run. So wait, the reason why we were at 100 kids already. I messed up the story. We were at 100 kids. We had the same normal program. We just got up to 100 kids. But then the pandemic hit. And then all of that went away, because our program was in person. We were going to have 100 students in our office working with 15, 20 startups. So we said, what are we going to do now that the pandemic hit and nobody could be in any office? So that's when we said, okay, what can we do? Let's think like startup founders. As soon as we got into quarantine and we closed and offices closed, I called Philip and I said, this is our chance to really, really prove our third level. So our first level was startups, prove we can help them raise money. Our second level was prove we can work with young people and put them in those startups. Our third level was going to be get to 100 at one time. Our fourth level was going to be indefinite, unlimited amount of people online. The problem there was the DOE was not going to allow online before the pandemic. We were trying to make that happen. But because of the way the system is set up, they just weren't going to allow it. So we could never prove that part of it. What we did in the meantime, though, was there was an online, offline component. So people would come into our office and they still would need to deal with us online when they got home. So we were proving the model very slowly. So I'm talking about this as a tech startup. It's a nonprofit that has a clear goal to create an innovation ecosystem. But we had many hurdles. So when the pandemic hit and the offices were closed, I said, this is our chance to really prove our model, the super end model. So we have been looking for a space to purchase because we were going to scale up inside this location. And that deal luckily fell through right before the pandemic because we could have been stuck holding rent of a new property, but again, I always thought online was the way. It makes total sense for scale. We can have thousands of kids all over the world, thousands of mentors. So we were in a position to go for it. So what we did was we put together a proposal and we went after charter schools. And John Campos, CompSci High, was the innovative mind to take it and say, we want this. We're going to get this to happen. I don't care how we do it. We're going to make it happen. So we had many, 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 many meetings. And CompSci High ended up bringing on a partner because we told them, if we don't get to 100 students, it's not a good enough test. We can't get to 100 participants. We're not proving what we need to prove. So we're not willing to do it unless we're at 100 students. So we weren't only reliant on CompSci High. So we were continuing to talk to other schools. So right now, before the pandemic, MetaBronx worked with public schools, which are the Department of Education, private schools, which is like Riverdale Country School, who's one of our supporters, and charter schools. So we said, okay, honestly, the DOE, their budgets are going to get slashed. So we can't go to the DOE for money, but we still are going to apply and make sure we keep the pressure on that. But realistically, the charter schools and the private schools are the ones that can make this happen. So we did what we did, have a meeting with every single charter school, every single private school. CompSci High said, no, we want this. We're going to do this. Then they brought on a partner called Dream from Harlem, which is super interesting because I went to school right by that school. I went to school in Harlem as a kid. So it was really cool for me to see that I was helping kids from my community that I grew up in both sides of the bridge, I guess. The 138th Street Bridge. So the idea is now we are in this position to start this program. It was 100 committed, 50 from Dream, 50 from CompSci High. But then some of the DOE conversations we had started to work out. And they started to say, hey, how many kids can you take? And we started to say, all right, let's see how high we could bring this number, right? So we ended up bringing the number to about 325 this summer. And for the past, I want to say 5 weeks, this is the end of the 5th week, we have been working with a bunch of participants. And the way MetaBronx works is we bring the students in, we have them spend time with each mentor. Each mentor is either a startup founder, is a high skill set individual in the innovation economy, or is a student that is going to school for the skills of the future. And we also partner with Olin College of Engineering, which is a super innovative school, high college. So right now, this is the fifth week, and next week we're starting right now to prepare for our final presentations, because with any program, any nonprofit, the way nonprofits work is you have to prove to your funders how the money was spent and how good of an experience it was. So for us, there's no better way than having the students say what they got out of this experience. So right now, this week, we had to all start preparing our students for their presentations. And at the same time, I'm trying to reach out to press to see if the press can cover the story, which I'm still doing. So I have my group. My group was the social media marketing team. I chose to work in that environment because I thought that's what the students were interested in, right? I said, I can teach many different things. I'm able to work in many different areas. What do I believe the students care about? Social media, right? Everybody's on social media. So I started out as a social media project. So the project was the show. They would come on the show, they would interact with me on the show, and we would promote it, find guests, create marketing before and after. They would help me produce it during the show. So the first few days, I realized this is not going to work. Like, they're just not interested in doing this. So I started to think, all right, what can I do? This is not going to work if they're not going to be interested. And I created this to go to where they are and help them to come to where I know they need to go. So like, if I create this environment where I'm just talking at them and they're not engaged, it's a waste of a summer. So I went back home, which just means turned off my computer. And I said, how can I like test out some other ideas? I got to pivot. Basically, in any company, you got to pivot at some point when you realize what you're trying to do is not going to work. So I went back and I said, all right, let me try a few other things. So I asked them, do you want to make an online store? Do you want to start a company right now from scratch? And they're like, whoa, that's kind of crazy, but I'm starting to get more engagement out of them. I'm hearing voices now because it's online. So it's very difficult, like to know how things are going. So they start talking more. No, I am kind of interested in making a store, but I don't really. And I'm like, what if I told you I can make a store in a day? They were like, what? No. I was like, all right, that's one option, but I'm not going to stop there. What if we made a game? Boom, lit up. Everybody. Oh yeah, let's do that. Boom, talking. I couldn't get them to shut up. I was like, all right, okay. They want to make a game. I don't make games. I've made games for agencies because I have a company, Mass Ideation. People come to us to build stuff. We can build anything, so we do. So I've built games for clients, which are usually advertising games around a brand that wants to create a game. But I've never created like a game from scratch based on your own IP and user testing and all the real game industry stuff. But I said, you know what? Let me show these young people how entrepreneurship really is, which is the goal of MetaBronx. So I said, how about this? How about not only do you still come on my show with me every day from 11 to 12 and produce it and ask questions, but we're also going to make an online store and a game. And they were like, oh, what? You're crazy. There's no way. We're only here 3 weeks. What are we going to do? How are we going to do all this work? I was like, watch. Just watch. So it goes fast because it's not even 5 days a week. It's 4 days a week for 3 weeks. So it's really only 12 days I have with them. So I say, all right, this is day 3 of the first week. So I only got 9 days left when they say they want to do this. Luckily, I came back with ideas around what we would make in the game. So how'd I do that? A lot of what I told them was early on when I spent time with each group of students, I told them my story, which was the reason why I'm even here right now with all of you, and even why you're able to see me online right now, is because everything I've ever done, I try to go above and beyond on top of what is expected of me, right? So for instance, this show, I'm an entrepreneur of multiple entities, right? Mass ideation, MetaBronx, nonprofit, for-profit. I have a mask company right now that's selling masks called Protect US Gear, Protect, TECH. I have a startup that we've been building, an AI startup that we're building and we're about to launch. Have 3 kids, right? In a pandemic. So I feel like, what could I do to bring myself back into their mindset, right? So I got to think again like I am 13, 14, 15, 16. Well, yeah. And I said, what did I enjoy doing? I did like playing games back then. What were some of my favorite games? I thought about the games. And then I thought about myself. What did I enjoy doing outside of playing games? And I really enjoyed drawing comic books, cartoons, and graffiti. So I had a character that I would always draw when I was their age. It was one of my characters that I did graffiti with and got in trouble for, right? So I came up with a game idea around that character. I came back, told it to them. They lit up even more. They started telling me, oh, that's really cool. What if it did this? What if it did that? So I said, all right. So you guys are really interested in this game. If I say we're going to make this game right now, how are you going to help me make this game? I came up with the whole story. Here's the story. How are you going to help me make this game? Oh, we could do concept art. We can help you with the story. We could help with anything you think we need. All right. So now I'm starting to get engagement. All right, let's go. All right. So I'm going to show you the process. Tomorrow I'm going to come back, show you the process. That night, I created a user experience document with the gameplay, the way I thought it could be. Came back, showed them a user experience document. They had never seen that before. Broke it all down. What am I doing throughout this whole thing? I'm still giving them the original idea, which was I was going to introduce them to the innovation economy through marketing. They were going to see the marketing of my AI startup. They were going to see the marketing of my mask company. They were going to see mass ideation, working on a project with MIT right now. They were going to see an app we were about to deliver for New York City. All these things, I was going to show them all that, but I knew they weren't interested. So the game changed all of that, all of it. So I said, all right, I'm going to take the same steps that we have to do to create anything. A game is just a harder website, like by code and experience. It's the same exact process, right? So we go in, they start drawing, they start creating concept art, they start having ideas that are just amazing. So I'm feeling good. Then I say, okay, now I'm going to bring you behind the scenes and I'm going to put you in the role of a CEO. And I said, by what I mean by that is I'm going to be the investor in this game. But you guys are going to help me make decisions. As an investor, I'm going to rely on you guys and this one girl to decide what we end up doing with this money. So they get excited, like, whoa, okay, let's go. So I said, all right, first step is we gotta hire a developer to make the first version of the game, the simple gameplay. Oh man, how are we gonna do that? We only got like 2 weeks left. What are we gonna do? Watch. By today, I will have developers that give me proposals. This was Thursday. We were ending. It was like almost 3:00. I showed them how I did it. Went online, went to my normal route. Hey, doing this, looking for. We kept talking for a little while longer. This is how I knew the engagement was crazy. We have a certain amount of time we have with them. We have 5 hours a day. They stayed with me an extra hour talking about the game. I bet you there's no program going around right now where people are spending an extra hour with that online program, right? So we start. As we're talking about it for this hour, people are already applying for the job. So they're like, oh my God. I was like, look, realistically, I'm doing this slower so you can see it. I could be doing this much faster because tomorrow, for instance, you guys are off. I could hire someone tomorrow, have them work the whole weekend and have this on Monday. But I want you to see the process. So on Monday, we're going to interview developers. Monday comes around, we literally get on video and interview developers like a team. And they are asking the developer questions. They are in the CEO role of a startup at this point, a game startup. And it was really cool to see. Like, you see, young people in our communities are capable. They're just not given the opportunity. And once they are, you really see what they're capable of. One of the kids, he didn't even show up for the first 2 days of my program, right? I had to track him down and say, I need you to get here tomorrow. He came in on that third day where he saw the game. That kid has done probably the most amount of work since, right? He's created editing for my show. He's created a bunch of concept art for the game. He's in every conversation on every show. He's producing every show with me, right? So, and yesterday I asked them to give me 4 things. How'd you feel when you found out about MetaBronx? What did you think? How'd you feel when you first started and you started working with the mentors? What did you do during your time with me? And what surprised you as you were doing it? And then, of course, what will you take away from this experience? The answers I got back, I wish I would have recorded because I doubt they're going to say them the same way they told me. Things like, I don't think I would have ever understood how easy it is to do anything I want to do if I wouldn't have spent these 3 weeks working with you. Now I honestly know I can make an online store. I can make a game. I can be an entrepreneur. I honestly did not know I could do that before this. And that is now that youth group has an opportunity to choose the direction they go in their life versus I don't think we have that. Like I think not enough is set up in these communities to give young people that opportunity. So in doing that, I'm really, really proud of what MetaBronx is doing. Like, I honestly am enjoying the fact that then as an organization, we're making a website and we're making blog posts and all that around what we're doing. And one of the students asked me a few questions, and they said, what is the thing you in your career you're most proud of? And honestly, it is this summer. This summer, what I've done, not only with MetaBronx, but in general, but MetaBronx specifically, like to stick with something that long that wasn't paying me anything, but I knew the community needed. And now to get to the point where we have 325 young people getting experiences and getting to feel like what we are able to give them now, they have these options for their life that probably they wouldn't have had if they didn't go through this 3-week process. It's just really, really awesome. It's an awesome feeling to know that this entity that I almost gave up on, I definitely almost gave up on MetaBronx many times, because it was just like the community is not going to help us. Then why am I spending my time on this? My time and money, right? So now, of course, there's going to be much more community support, but it just showed me, you have to, one, partnership is really important, right? Like at the end of the day, if I didn't have the partner that I had in that, if I didn't have Philip in this and he me, we probably, MetaBronx would be done, right? There would be no 325 kids getting this experience. So partnership is really important, the team. And then there's the team, right? First of all, me and Philip partnered to create this, but then we grew a team. And then what we also did was we created an ecosystem, because the people who went through our program are now mentoring our students, right? So those people didn't have to do that. They have jobs and startups and kids. They decided to give their time back to the community. Of course, we paid them, but they weren't making like $1 million. They could have made more money in other ways. They decided to work here because this was going to be impactful for them and those students. So that's just really, really awesome to me. And I still, it's week, this is the end of the second week. We've produced 10 shows. This is the 10th show. The game on Monday, we're going to get the first version of the gameplay. And this week, I created an online store. So that's basically what I said we would do in 3 weeks, right? We're going to do what I said we would do. And they already know it. They already see it. So, I just think the way it's been going, it's been a really interesting couple weeks. And now, we're about to work with even more kids are coming into MetaBronx right now, and we are going to get through the summer, and then the real deal is showing all this work we've done and scaling it even bigger. Like, how big can we get MetaBronx? Can we get 5,000 young people in this innovation economy per summer or per semester, whatever it is? And I'm really interested in seeing how large we grow this. Of course, there's going to be growing pains. We've been seeing them now already. So we are starting to understand, put in the ways of making sure everything works out smoothly. So yeah, MetaBronx is really awesome. Then this is about entrepreneur life. MetaBronx is one of my projects. We're about to launch this startup, this AI startup. And yesterday was an awesome moment. Like we got possibly our first sale already through the app, but we weren't even incorporated yet because we thought it would take some more time for us to make a sale. So we had to scramble and figure out a few things, get some things done that we didn't think we would have to do for a few months. So that is awesome too. And I really look forward to showing you guys that. The game also, what the game did for me. So this brings me back to the MetaBronx thing, is it put me in a situation where I was able to put myself back in a time before money was a thing, before responsibilities were a thing. And I went super in on creating concept art. I went to school for art. I hadn't drawn like that in at least 20 years. I drew so much concept art, it was like I couldn't stop. And one of them I'm super proud of. I can't show you right now because we're going to try to copyright and everything, but I really enjoy doing that process because it put me back into a time before before I cared about money, pretty much. And now, whenever I can put my time into that and escape the responsibilities of a CEO as a parent, right? It is fun. So that's something that they gave me, actually, right? Like, I don't think I would have done that if they didn't force me to pivot and look at it a different way and say, all right, how can I reach them? Right. So I'm really enjoying making concept art for this game. And I can't wait to see the gameplay Monday. We're going to have the MetaBronx team, entire group be QA testers on the game. It's a whole cool process that I'm also documenting. We're creating videos behind the scenes, but I'm not going to put them out till the game is live. So just feels like really, really fun. Fun times, within MetaBronx. Then with it's called the Big Shot app. We're about to launch the Big Shot app, which is a paparazzi app, and you will get a lot more understanding of that once we launch. And then we just we're preparing next week for our presentations in the game. So, and then I made this online store. So I'm really I'm about to work with even more students, because the way we had to do it to work with so many students is we had to put them in waves. So the second wave is starting now, and the second wave is larger than the first wave. But right now, MetaBronx for the past 2 weeks has had 325 young people and about 50 support staff helping at the same time, right? And working, and everybody's working, being paid. So this organization has gotten really large from like almost dying, right? So that's amazing, right? Another like thing, right? I almost gave up on this because I didn't really see a path future with it, because I didn't see the support. A pandemic hits, we have the idea to scale online like we've wanted to, but we couldn't because of the powers that be not wanting to do online, but then they were forced to, kind of putting us in the perfect position to test our real goal. And now we're proving it, right? So super interesting times. So I think this one I'm going to end a little early. And, I got some calls. We got some calls with the schools. A lot going on. I'm also, so at the same time, entrepreneur life, I am growing my YouTube. I'm taking public speaking classes, one-on-one coaching to get some public speaking online gigs. Why? Entrepreneurship is shaky right now, right? Who knows if the business you have is going to be something that is viable during this pandemic. I kind of know because I do tech, but still the normal ways of me getting business have been changed. Agencies are shut down. So how do I get agency meetings? How do I get projects? It's all relationship based. So I can't put all my eggs in that basket. So I said, all right, I need to do more about my personal brand. So I want to do more public speaking, doing a YouTube show every day, helps with public speaking. So I've been doing that. I've been taking courses, and I've been doing a lot of homework. And then I'm also taking a course on YouTube, on how to grow YouTube. And it's a ton of work there too. So I'm doing a bunch of different things, but all with the end in mind of everything I do educates people watching on how to get into this innovation economy and thrive. Because I honestly believe if you're not, I'm not even sure what you can do. So everything I do is around that, right? So I'm seeing right now it's starting to work. It's feeling good to see the numbers grow across everything and getting the reach outs and people being like, man, what you're doing is awesome, but you shouldn't be giving it away. This is like valuable information. I'm like, no, at the end of the day, most people are not even going to do what I said. Like the few people like you may do it, but that's why I need more views, because 1 out of every 1,000 will actually do it. Right. So, and then they may need my help, and then I charge, and at the end of the day, I showed you how to start it, not to run it. Running it is a whole nother ball game. So one of my friends was like, why don't you make a class about that? And I was like, yeah, all right, I'm going to do it once MetaBronx is over. So a lot of fun stuff. I'm also working with someone that, like, I think I told you, to make an online course thing where I help startups get to the point where they can get funding. Because right now I do it through MetaBronx, but MetaBronx, we can only take a certain amount of people every year because no funding. So now I want to figure out how, if you want to pay, I can work with you, right? So I've been talking to investors and all that about that. So actually, Tuesday's show with the crowdfunding CEO came because of those relationships. So now I'm working with a group that we are going to start training companies up to get them on equity crowdfunding, right? So I'm working with that CEO and a group of investors, and that came from creating content, right? I create this, people reach out and say, I love what you're doing. Let's have a conversation. I'll tell them everything I do. And they're like, oh, what if we did this? Sounds good to me, right? So this is why I also highly consider anyone who is an entrepreneur, think about doing something like this. I'm telling you, it helps you out in so many different ways. And you'll see, because I'm not going to stop. I told myself I'll do 1,000 videos before I expect a dime from the actual video ad or whatever. So I'm not doing it for the money of the video play. I don't care. I'm doing it for the relationship money, and it's already proven itself out. So that's how you got to think about it, right? This is marketing. This is going to be on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, forever. Twitch, not forever, but Twitch. I'm going to take the edits, put them on Instagram. It's going to be everywhere forever. It's just marketing for all the stuff I just spoke about. And then each video caters to a certain part of my business. And you can do the same thing. And I'm actually working with a few entrepreneurs on that too, because I want to see if what I'm doing, I can document through them. And then again, I'll make videos and sell them. And then if you want to work with me one-on-one. So these are just more revenue streams that I'm creating just in case. And if one works, awesome. If it doesn't, no problem. I spent a little time. I took the risk. No problem. So I think, like I said, I'm going to end this one short. I think it was a good catch up. Thank you for anyone who watched. Please like this video wherever you're seeing it. And you know, I look forward to updating you on the game. I can't wait to show the game. I look forward to showing you the new app that's about to launch, the Big Shot. And I look to getting the next group of MetaBronxers coming through and start pushing them to do all the same stuff that we've been doing now. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching Entrepreneur Hour, and have a good weekend. And of course, innovate every day.